Happy holidays, everybody. I'm Stella Chung, and this is The Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you've made for this week. It's been a big week for hacks and leaks, so we'll catch you up to speed on everything that happened with the major security breach at Insomniac, what's up with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a possible Elden Ring DLC release date, a holiday-themed gift to DOTA 2 cheaters, and even an Xbox discount that should come in clutch for all of you extremely last-minute shoppers. You know who you are. Let's get to the news.
The hackers who breached Spider-Man developer Insomniac and threatened to release confidential data unless they were paid around $2 million within 7 days have made good on their threat after Sony reportedly refused to meet their demands. According to Cyber Daily, the ransomware group released 1.7 terabytes of data made up of more than 1.3 million files, which contain a variety of videos and images. They show the upcoming Wolverine game, personal staff information, and even a contract signed by both Marvel and Sony for future projects. Videos showing early Wolverine footage and unannounced characters are now online, as is the game's cast, a list of locations, the plot, and a target release date. Insomniac's release slate up to the end of 2033 is also listed, alongside estimated development budgets. The data reportedly also includes a bootable build of Wolverine. When news of the data breach first emerged, Sony issued a statement saying it had launched an investigation and confirmed no other Sony divisions were affected. Neither it nor Insomniac have commented on this latest development. Cyber Daily published a statement attributed to one of the hackers, which reads, "Yes, we knew who we were attacking. We knew that developers making games like this would be an easy target. We were able to get the domain administrator within 20 to 25 minutes of hacking the network. Sony has launched an investigation, but it would be better in the backyard." Not sure what that means, but apparently the hackers said money was the only motive for the attack. The data released includes a slide that reveals Insomniac's upcoming games list. The planned games are Venom in 2025, Wolverine in 2026, Spider-Man 3 in 2028, a new Ratchet & Clank in 2029, X-Men in 2030, and an untitled new game in 2031 or 2032. Now, as with all information revealed in the data breach, this release slate is subject to change. Another slide shows an extended roadmap that includes multiple X-Men games and a second new franchise released in 2035. Yet another slide details Insomniac's multiplayer ambitions, which include Spider-Man 2 Online for 2024, Wolverine Online for 2026, and X-Men Online for 2028. These release plans may now be out of date. The X-Men license terms are detailed. $120 million is listed as a development budget for each game, with $30 million earmarked for marketing. All X-Men games are meant to launch by 2035, with PlayStation console and PC listed as platform. The Venom game is fully detailed. It's called Venom Lethal Protector and leads into Spider-Man 3 following the events of Spider-Man 2. It sounds like Venom is to Spider-Man 2 what Miles Morales was to Spider-Man, offering an 8 to 10 hour standalone experience. A Q2 2025 release window is mentioned alongside a $50 price point. Another slide suggests Spider-Man 3 may launch in 2 parts, part 1 down for holiday 2027 and part 2 pegged for holiday 2028. Multiplayer is listed to launch alongside Part 1, and a combo game is down for 2029. Again, these plans may now be out of date. This is probably the second biggest gaming leak of the year after that enormous leak of Xbox information a few months ago. And wow, I guess Insomniac is basically a Marvel factory now, huh? Now, speaking of those X-Men games. The data breach also revealed Sony signed a deal with Marvel to make exclusive X-Men games until the end of 2035. According to the document, between now and December 31st, 2035, Marvel cannot release or announce any X-Men games on console, PC, or streaming platforms, or use an X-Men character as a competitive advantage in a game. The document provides the example of playing as Wolverine in Ultimate Alliance exclusively on Xbox, which would not be allowed under the terms. X-Men characters can appear in what are called multi-family Marvel games, however, so you might see Wolverine, for example, show up in an Avengers game. And Marvel retains the rights to children's games and certain X-Men games from the 90s. But otherwise, this is a watertight exclusivity deal that gives Sony the rights to X-Men games for the next 12 years. The document details development and marketing spend for each X-Men game, Marvel's royalty, which varies depending on the nature of the sale from physical to digital bundle, and the terms of a potential termination. Platforms are, as you'd expect, PlayStation and PC. Now, the video game industry has descended upon Marvel in recent years to snap up licenses to make games based on its intellectual property. Last year, Electronic Arts announced that it signed a long-term deal with Marvel to develop at least 3 new action-adventure games for consoles and PC, the first being a single-player, third-person action-adventure Iron Man game from Star Wars Squadrons and the Dead Space remake developer Motive Studios. EA is also making a single-player action-adventure game based on Black Panther at a new Seattle-based EA studio called Cliffhanger Games. Elsewhere, Skydance Media is developing a Marvel World War II set narrative-driven adventure with Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame. It lets you play as Steve Rogers as an early Captain America, among other Marvel characters. And let's not forget Blade, just announced at the Game Awards as in development at Dishonored and Deathloop studio Arcane. Arcane is owned by Bethesda, which in turn is owned by Microsoft. Platforms are yet to be announced, but we can of course count Xbox and PC among them. As for the X-Men, Sony's deal comes as Marvel prepares to properly unleash the X-Men within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with a significant tease at the end of the recently released The Marvels, setting up the inevitable arrival of the popular mutant superhero team. Deadpool 3, which features mutants Deadpool and Wolverine, is 2024's only Disney MCU movie. And finally today, leaked slides have revealed Sony's internal concern at competitor Microsoft's emerging strategy following its $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Sony described the buyout, which brings the likes of Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Candy Crush within Xbox as the leapfrog. It says Microsoft is now positioned to, quote, leapfrog our current pillars. Sony points out the benefits of the acquisition, which arms Microsoft with strong live service games, scale in mobile, and a ready-made PC storefront in Battle.net. Sony goes on to express concern about the Call of Duty threat coming in 2027. In order to appease antitrust regulators, Microsoft signed a deal with Sony to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, and according to these internal documents, that deal ends in 2027. Sony predicts a massive threat to its subscription service, PlayStation Plus. There's a day-and-date threat too, with Microsoft poised to launch Activision Blizzard games straight into Game Pass. Microsoft has said it won't release the likes of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and Diablo 4 into Game Pass until 2024, but it is possible next year's Call of Duty game, reportedly called Black Ops Gulf War, will launch straight into Game Pass. In the document, Sony admitted its pillars are already dated and behind the competition, and lamented the elusive perfect game subscription. The expectation of free, best-in-class video games creates an unsustainable model, Sony said, with subscription revenue not enough to cover investment. Sony's central approach, it said, remains the premium sales model. The Insomniac data breach comes as Sony's live service game push hangs in the balance. Last month, Sony president Hiroki Totoki said the company was reviewing the 12 live service PlayStation games it had in the works and committed to launching only 6 of them by the end of March 2026. One has already fallen away completely, as Naughty Dog recently canceled The Last of Us multiplayer game. Sony has spent big on studio buyouts as part of the live service drive, bringing in Destiny developer Bungie, Jade Raymond's Haven Studios, and Firewalk Studios. Bungie is working on Marathon, a PvP sci-fi extraction shooter. Haven is working on Fair Games, a competitive heist game, and Firewalk Studios is working on Concord, another sci-fi PvP multiplayer game. And there's also a Horizon multiplayer game from Guerrilla and a co-op action game from PlayStation's London studio. And we now know that Insomniac is planning a number of multiplayer games itself.
This is your official warning to block all keywords for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League on social media if you want to stay spoiler-free, because, yet again, major spoilers are leaking across the internet. Suicide Squad is currently set to be released February 2nd next year, but I guess leakers can't wait that long for details. Okay, I'm about to dive into the spoilers now for those curious about it and for the people who don't want to play Suicide Squad. If you don't want anything revealed to you about the game, skip ahead to our next story. You've been warned. Going into spoiler territory now. Audio from a key story cutscene revealed the fate of an important character and the return of characters from Rocksteady's Batman Arkham series. X/Twitter user Boss Big Boss revealed images of what looks like a childlike Poison Ivy. Her return is surprising to some fans since she died at the end of 2015's Arkham Knight. Oh, shoot, I guess I should have warned you about spoilers for that game, but I mean, Arkham Knight was released 8 years ago, so you'll be fine. Get over it. In other photos, the Joker seems to be returning, but in a completely different design. Joker also died at the end of 2011's Arkham City, so there's some speculation that this is an alternate version of Joker from another dimension, or some weird vision. We have no idea. This is all speculation off the leaks. Then we see the same Batman from the Arkham games, still voiced by the late Kevin Conroy. A separate leak revealed audio from a cutscene involving Batman and the Suicide Squad. Okay, again, if you're watching this and you want to avoid major spoilers, why are you still watching? And also, I'm warning you, this next one is really big, so skip ahead. The audio leak with Batman sparked major debates amongst fans because this confirms the death of evil Batman by the hands of the Suicide Squad. I know, that's huge. It's suggested that Harley Quinn pulls the trigger in the audio leak, which I guess isn't too much of a shock for a game titled Kill the Justice League, but fans of the Arkham series were upset that this seems to mark the end of Rocksteady's Batman. More audio leaks also seem to confirm the Suicide Squad's plans to kill Superman. These leaks obviously don't confirm anything 100%, but I personally really like the darker tone this game seems to be leaning towards. It's weird to see your superheroes turn evil, and I'm still very excited to see how this story pans out, even with knowing these leaks. Players are just worried that this is going to be the end of Rocksteady's Arkhamverse, but we won't know anything for sure until February 2nd.
Valve is sending out an early Christmas present for some very bad boys and girls this year. Now, in an attempt to crack down on Smurf accounts, as in players who create multiple aliases to play against lower-ranked players, offenders who made the naughty list will find a gift chest in their account. And inside is a highly toxic lump of coal. And that's not all. The gag gift comes with a real consequence of a permanent ban. Now, a clip of Dota 2 pro Mason Vin is making the rounds on X, showing him opening up the coal and subsequently seeing the ban message. On a Reddit post, Vin admitted to hiring a behavior score farmer to boost his in-game behavior score, which Valve uses to promote good behavior and combat toxicity. Now, Vin is not the only person facing Valve's wrath, as 90,000 accounts were banned back in September. Now, on a blog post, Valve explained, quote, "Smurfing and other negative behavior makes matches worse, and we want to make sure your matches are as good as possible as we head into the new year. So we'd like to wish everyone a happy Frostivus update. Except Smurf accounts, who we assume will not enjoy the update as they choke on their richly deserved coal-flavored just desserts." Damn, well, looks like Valve is going more Krampus this year than Santa. Happy Frostivus to us all.
And if all this talk about whether or not big games are going to make it to which consoles or not has you concerned, then Xbox has you covered with a big official sale on Xbox Series X for the holiday season. Microsoft took $50 off the Series X MSRP of $499.99 and has now, mere weeks later, cut the price down by $50 more for a total of $100 off regular pricing. This price reduction aligns with similar Black Friday deals at major retailers like Best Buy and Amazon, though this is a side note, the Series X has been spotted here and there for $349.99, which is $150 off. And hey, if you're in the market for one of these bad boys, wireless Xbox controllers are discounted by about $20 now at Walmart for $45. Microsoft has not disclosed the duration of the $399.99 Xbox Series X deal just yet. However, given its characterization as a holiday offer, it is reasonable to assume that it will be available for a limited time throughout the remainder of 2023. It is also an offer exclusive to the US. Sony also has a direct sale offer of a $70 discount on PS5 console bundles, which amounts to getting Spider-Man 2 or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 at no extra cost.
You've got to love the fact that Valve sent a lump of coal along with a permaban. Christmas miracles really do happen. Anyways, we need to take a quick break, but don't go away because when we come back, we're looking into a possible Elden Ring DLC leak, why GTA 6 is probably not coming to the next Switch, and a major update on the future of the MCU. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Similar to GTA 5, it's looking like we probably won't see GTA 6 come to any Nintendo hybrid handhelds anytime soon. But before we get into that, let's take a look at a possible Elden Ring DLC leak. Take it away.
Fresh off their big Game of the Year win at this year's Game Awards, Larian Studios boss Sven Vink sat down with IGN to talk all things Baldur's Gate 3. And of course, we asked him about the possibility of the game coming to Xbox Game Pass. When asked how big of a dump truck full of money Xbox would need to get Baldur's Gate 3 on their game service, Vink was pretty straightforward. He said, quote, "We always said from the get-go it wasn't going to be on Game Pass. It's not going to be on Game Pass." So there you go. Don't get your hopes up for Baldur's Gate 3 on Game Pass anytime soon. Now, Vink elaborated that the Game Pass issue was a, quote, sensitive question. Now, he continues saying, quote, "We made a big game, so I think there's a fair price to be paid for that. And I think that is okay. We don't charge you any microtransactions on top of it, so you get what you pay for. Up front, it's a big, meaty game. So I think that should be able to exist as it is. This is what allows us to continue making other games." And Vink isn't wrong about it being a big game. Now, according to HowLongToBeat.com, a full completionist run of Baldur's Gate 3 can take 144 hours or more across multiple playthroughs. And it's definitely a game that's meant to be replayed, considering all the ways player choices affect the story. And even if you paid full price for the game, it sounds like you're getting your money's worth. Now, services like Game Pass and PlayStation Plus have been debated in the games industry. Many indie devs praise the services for helping get their game noticed by more people than they would have otherwise. But others have called into question their profitability. Now, mega publisher Take-Two has called Game Pass, quote, value destructive. But that's not always the case. Now, Bethesda's Starfield launched on Game Pass on day one and still became the best-selling game of September. Anyway, are you disappointed that Baldur's Gate 3 won't be coming to Game Pass or a similar service? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and be sure to head on over to IGN.com to read the full interview with Sven Vink. Just be warned, there are some spoilers in there. Now, in other news, the highly anticipated DLC expansion to Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is still missing a release date. But if the latest leak is to be believed, it could be arriving very soon. Via Reset Era third-party controller maker Thrustmaster announced a collaboration with FromSoft for an Elden Ring themed controller. Now, the webpage pointed out that the controller will be released in February 2024, which is to, quote, sync with the new Shadow of the Erdtree expansion release. Now, obviously, when the DLC drops, it's up to Bandai Namco and From Software, and while it is possible it shows up when Thrustmaster says it will, it's also possible this window is, shall we say, gold-tinged excrement. Now, of course, the page was taken down and attempts were made to scrub screenshots of it from the internet, but as with everything on the web, nothing stays hidden. Now, I don't know, these images look pretty legit to me. Now, the controller is, I mean, it's fine, but, if their strategy is to release it around the same time as the Elden Ring expansion, well, it looks like we'll be back in the lands between this coming February. Now, which also happens to be the game's first anniversary. Yeah, go you, Elden Ring.
We're all super psyched about Grand Theft Auto 6. Game of the Year 2025 is in the bag, in my opinion. Everyone wants to play it, and we will. Unless we're playing on the next Nintendo Switch console, most likely. While the follow-up Nintendo Switch console, tentatively called Switch 2, hasn't been announced nor the specs available, it is expected to launch sometime in the second half of 2024. Despite that, tech experts at Digital Foundry say they've got, quote, a pretty good idea what those specs are, and it's unlikely the console will be powerful enough to handle the scope of GTA 6. Speaking in a recent video, Digital Foundry boss Richard Ledbetter said, "I'd love to say it would happen. I don't think it will, realistically. It's a mobile chipset. We've seen a lot of amazing things on the Switch 1. Switch 2 is going to be a lot better, a proper generational leap, and forward-looking in many ways, but the stuff they seem to be rolling out for GTA 6 is possibly beyond that." Ledbetter pointed to Rockstar's less than prompt record with Switch releases, highlighting 2010's Red Dead Redemption that was released on Switch 13 years after launch, and L.A. Noire, which was released on Switch 6 years after the title's debut. One specific issue could be, say it with me, ray tracing. The Switch 2 is not going to be powerful enough to run all that ray tracing. Digital Foundry's Oliver McKenzie added in, saying he, quote, just cannot see it. And it may be pretty immediately evident that the complexity and high level of background detail shown in the GTA 6 trailer will take quite a lot of punch to maintain for any system. If GTA 5 is any model to base off of, and it is, GTA 6 is going to be even bigger, an absolutely massive game that will prove a challenge for CPUs. Also nodding to GTA 5 for further evidence this ain't happening, the now 10-year-old GTA 5 has never launched on the Nintendo Switch console, so why would the next iteration of GTA be available for the next Switch? The headline here that Switch 2 probably won't have enough power for GTA 6 may have sounded like a burn, but is instead a fairly logical conclusion. Also of note, fans have spotted a reference to Red Dead Redemption's Everett Morgan among the many, many Rockstar Easter eggs in the GTA 6 trailer. Hey, that's fun. GTA 6 will launch in 2025 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and for now, that's it, with PC players likely having to wait a bit longer, but not as long as Switch 2 players at least.
2 years ago, the California Civil Rights Department, the CRD, filed a high-profile lawsuit against Activision Blizzard that accused the company of widespread gender discrimination and pay inequality. Today, we finally have a settlement conclusion for this lawsuit. The Wall Street Journal reported on the settlement last Friday, and the CRD published a statement on its website the same day as well. In that statement, the CRD withdrew its harassment-related claims, saying no court or any independent investigation has substantiated any allegations that there has been systematic or widespread sexual harassment at Activision Blizzard, or that Activision Blizzard's board of directors, including CEO Bobby Kotick, acted improperly with regard to the handling of any instances of workplace misconduct. That settlement, still awaiting court approval, is now instead to pay and promote inequality between 2015 and 2020, with Activision Blizzard to take additional steps to help ensure fair pay and promotion practices at the company. It will also provide monetary relief to women who were employed by or contracting at Activision Blizzard between October 12, 2015 and December 31st, 2020. Activision Blizzard will have to pay $54 million to settle this lawsuit. Any excess funds from the settlement will go towards charitable organizations that focus on advancing women in video games and tech or orgs that promote awareness around gender equality issues in the workplace. An Activision Blizzard spokesperson sent a statement to IGN in which they stated, "We are gratified that we have reached an agreement with the California Civil Rights Department today, as the CRD has now announced in a press statement. We appreciate the importance of the issues addressed in this agreement, and we are dedicated to fully implementing all the new obligations we have assumed as part of it. We want our employees to know that, as the agreement specifies, we are committed to ensuring fair compensation and promotion policies and practices for all of our employees. And we will continue our efforts regarding inclusion of qualified candidates from underrepresented communities in outreach, recruitment, and retention." Well, I'm glad for the statements Activision Blizzard made after it reached a settlement with the CRD. I feel a little disheartened, for lack of better words, after this. There's no responsibility taken here for the events that did happen at Activision Blizzard. I'm glad they're paying reparations, but this amount of money is probably a drop in the bucket for them. And listen, I'm gonna throw in a hot take here, but paying a high amount of money, no matter how much it is, doesn't make you any less responsible for the choices you've made. Also, money doesn't fix everything. I truly hope the victims of previous behaviors at Activision Blizzard are able to find justice and help, and that Activision Blizzard actually carries through with its plans to ensure equality and better workplace safety conditions for everyone.
Actor Jonathan Majors has been found guilty of third-degree assault and harassment. Now, the charges carry with them a sentence of up to 1 year in jail. He was, however, found not guilty of both intentional assault in the third degree and aggravated harassment in the second degree. Now, the charges stem from March 25th, when Majors made a 911 call informing authorities he found his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, unconscious in their apartment. Now, he was subsequently arrested after police found Jabari had bruises and other injuries on her body. Jabari took to the stand alleging Majors caused said injuries after he tried to retrieve his phone from her after she saw a message on his phone. He apparently tried to snatch it back, which allegedly led to the injuries she sustained. Now, the charges Jonathan Majors faced weren't brought on by the alleged victim in the incident, but by the state of New York, making this a criminal trial rather than civil. Now, Majors will be sentenced on February 6th of next year. The actor was definitely having a major year in Hollywood, set to be Marvel Studios' next big villain in the Kang dynasty. And now, with this verdict, a Marvel Studios rep has confirmed that Majors will not be moving forward as Kang in the MCU. Speaking of animation styles, Adult Swim just teased its new Rick and Morty series, Rick and Morty the Anime. Now, the 10-episode series will lift certain themes from the original show, but will be an original story written and directed by Takashi Sano, who you'll know from Tower of God. Now, based on the short teaser, it's hard to tell what type of tone the Rick and Morty anime plans to take overall. Now, what we see in the teaser is Rick communicating with Summer as he crosses paths with another Rick, and then several Ricks from parallel universes. Now, there's no premiere date just yet, but you can expect to see it on Adult Swim and Max sometime in the near future.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your Weekly Fix. We'll be back here next year with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news. I can't believe I get to say that next year already. Happy holidays and have a happy new year!